Town Station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Cary Quashen, along with my co-host Bob Shares. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Cary. It's good to be back another week.
Isn't
Welcome.
it?
Yeah. You know what? A lot of people, I guess, traditionally go, "Oh, Monday." I just like Mondays.
Well, you know,
it gears me up for the week. Look, I'm not. Maybe I'm alone in that.
I don't know if Mondays are really any other different than any other day, really,
Right.
because of what we do.
Right.
The nature of of the beast of what we deal with. I mean, it doesn't stop because it's Saturday or Sunday.
Well, and I've heard people ask you, like, how do you keep doing what you're doing for 30 plus years? And your response is always like, how do I not do what I'm doing, considering all the need that's out there? But I feel the same way. It's like, I am excited about going into a week every week because of the opportunities to help people that we have, and
Yes.
it is so very cool. So here we are, Monday.
And I'll tell you what, you're right. I mean, how do you not do it? I love what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it get any better when you go to sleep at night, you feel good about what you've done?
Yeah.
And you wake up and you look forward to helping, being part of the solution to this world, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that cool? So, what usually we do all our introductions and stuff like that. We don't bring the person that's in. But let's introduce Bree, and then we'll do our thing, and then we'll. So you want to, hey, this is Bree.
I do.
I
I
know
don't
Bree.
want
She's very cool.
So, hi, Bree. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I don't want to butcher your name, so do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Bree Bonche,
Okay.
and I'm a LCSW.
Which is a licensed clinical social worker,
Right.
Correct. And so when Cary and I are talking about the rewards of helping people, like, you're right in there with us.
You
Yes.
get it, huh?
You're
Yes.
right in there.
Well, I've
with
worked
us.
with Bree for quite a few
Yes, we
years,
have.
and I'll tell you, yes, she's right there with us. Her passion is like ours is being there for people,
Right.
being able to help people.
It does feel good.
Well, and certainly what we do has a lot of crossover, and there's a lot of co-occurring conditions in terms of substance use disorders crossing over with mental health disorders. But because May is Mental Health Month, we are primarily going to be talking about the different facets of mental health issues, and that is your expertise, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, we're working with a lot of the same people.
Yes,
A lot
we
of
are.
the same people helping a lot of the same families, so it's really cool. Before we go any further, let me get a couple of things out of the way. Families in Action is brought to you by the Action Family Foundation. Action Family Foundation. You notice I'm mixing it up a little bit today.
I'm sitting there going,
All right?
okay.
The Action Family Foundation is a nonprofit, local and other places, but it started out locally. The local nonprofit piece of Action, which the primary facility that we have with the Action Family Foundation is the Action Parent Teen Support Program.
Right.
It meets every Tuesday night at Canyon High School. It is a free, open forum for anybody who wants to show up. But our primary purpose over there is to help families with teenagers that hopefully they come to us before they're in major crisis, but unfortunately a lot of them wait till they're in major crisis.
Yeah, that would be nice, but most of the time when people show, they show because they're in crisis, and somebody has suggested that they come, either forcefully or not. But if you have a teenager, if you have a kid, you should be at that group. You really should. And if you're thinking, hey, is something wrong here? Go with your gut always, and you will find answers and a lot of solutions at Action Parenting Support Program. I'm there every Tuesday night, 7:00 in the AA building. So show up.
That's right. And if you're not sure if you should be there, again, it is open to the public. Anybody can show up. It's a great place to get an education, just like you have said in the past, Cary. We have our finger on the pulse of what's going on with the teenagers in the Santa Clarita Valley, even oftentimes before Sheriff's Department or hospitals or anybody else finds out about it, because we are working with the kids who are in the middle of it right now. Right now. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Action Family Foundation, it is the nonprofit side of Action, puts on a lot of different free events, symposiums. We provide free drug testing and things like that, free interventions. There's many, many different aspects. And keep your ear open for a project that's being worked on called The Experience, which will be unleashed very, very shortly.
Very shortly, yes.
So keep your ear open for that. That's all part of the
stuff.
Action Family Foundation. And Families in Action is also brought to you by Action Family Counseling. Action and family counseling is rehabilitation centers, both intensive outpatient and residential treatment facilities for adolescents and adults. We serve both populations in separate facilities, primarily drug and alcohol, but we do work with psychiatrists and work with co-occurring disorders as well. And with adolescents, it's not always drug and alcohol use. So there's many different facets of our adolescent program as well. And then, of course, Families in Action is brought to you by our local hometown station. And we are very, very grateful to KHTS. This show and Cary Quashen has been on for in our 12th year. And I am honored and privileged to be in my 3rd year with this Families in Action radio show. And we couldn't do any of it without our local hometown heroes, KHTS.
That's the fact.
And so we are very grateful to them. We are in
and don't forget our board ops.
Our board
What would we do without these guys?
I know,
Come
right?
on, wave, say hi, smile. No, really, we'd be lost without you guys.
Yeah, that's right. And May is Mental Health Month for those of you who weren't listening previously. So Mental Health Month is designated so that we will have an awareness to raise awareness and look at the different issues and aspects of mental health disorders. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Mental health professional with us. Hey.
We do, right after this break. This is Families in Action, brought to you on our hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.
Welcome back to Families in Action on our hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we're talking about mental health, and here's just a few reasons why. I'm going to go over some statistics, Bree, and then we'll get into it, okay?
Sounds good.
61,500,000 Americans experience a mental health disorder in any given year. 61 million.
Mm-hmm. Americans?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
I'm telling you.
It's like hard to wrap my head around that number. It's so big.
800,000. The estimated number of people globally who will die by suicide each year.
Right.
800,000 people will kill themselves.
Well, and something to be aware of, listeners, is that when we say that number, 800,000, those are preventable. Mm-hmm. This is preventable stuff. If we raise awareness and we sort of have a beat on what's going on with ourselves and others around us, we can prevent a number of those from happening.
And catch it early.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go over more statistics, but instead of doing that right now, I want to do this. 70 to 90% of people that actually seek treatment feel better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are huge. I mean, listen to the statistics here. That's huge.
And they're very treatable, especially if caught early. It's
Right.
very treatable.
Well, and I think the biggest, and you certainly jump in here, as I go. I think the biggest obstacles, the two biggest obstacles to people seeking the treatment, the 70 to 90%, that if they would, right, they would feel better about themselves. Number one is the stigma about it,
right.
I think. And it's really interesting is, I work primarily in substance use disorders. So chemically dependent people, addicts, whatever the label or whatever you want to call them. And I will work with people who are more willing to say, I'm a heroin addict than they are to say I'm a schizophrenic or I have a depressive disorder. They're more willing to say that they have a problem with drugs than they are to say they have a problem with mental health issues.
Right. There's that feeling I think a lot of people have of feeling weak if they are to ask for help or if they are to admit that they're depressed or struggling with anxiety, and that's what prevents them from getting the help that they need early on or catching the signs and symptoms early on.
And here's something, talking about that, here's another scary thing. 90% of people who attempt to hurt themselves, suicide, have some kind of disorder.
Oh, absolutely.
And only 60% of people with mental illness seek treatment.
Right.
So you know what that means? 60% don't. So you know what that means?
That means, right? Yeah.
If we learn, if we can make it easier for people to reach out and say, hey, something's wrong, we can lose a lot less people.
Yeah.
And also mental wellness and mental health is so integral to your physical health. They go together. And so, if you think about it, if you're chronically stressed, you're at risk for higher blood pressure, heart disease, heart attack. And so taking care of your mental wellness is so important to your physical health.
Right.
and wellness. So
I had a professor when I was going to school who he would often say everything is everything. Right, everything is everything, and I go, "What do you mean by that?" And he had it on his wall, "Everything is everything," and then and then the whole, of course, that whole semester in his class was explaining why everything is everything and how everything is tied into everything else. And I started to get it as I started working with people. Is we will see family members of people that suffer from either mental health issues or drug use issues, and the family members themselves, because of the stress that they are under, watching their loved one go through this, will have extreme physical problems, gastrointestinal problems, high blood pressure, heart disease, all kinds of physical problems that are a result of being part of not even having the issue themselves.
And they'll seek treatment from their physician for that.
Right.
But they won't go to their mental health professional for what's causing those symptoms.
Right.
And I think that's what we take for granted, and it flies under the
or
radar.
they'll be put on some kind of anti-anxiety medication versus going to therapy.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Which might mask it, but that's about it, or put a Band-Aid on. It's not going to fix the issue.
No.
Well, and the second, so stigma being one of the first reasons why, there's so many people that don't seek treatment. And I think the other one is that a lot of those family members, when we explain that to them, is that your physical issues may be a result of the stress that you're facing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the first time that they've ever heard that. Mm-hmm. Like they have no idea that there's a connection there. And so many people with untreated mental health issues don't even know that they have them.
Exactly.
They don't even know. And so part of, if I'm understanding correctly, part of mental wellness is the early intervention and the early prevention and the early identification of those things, correct?
Right. And there's about 7 things that you can kind of do periodic checks or a self-inventory to see how you're doing. And you should be doing those things regularly just to see, how you're doing and if maybe you need to talk to a professional. So I can,
do it.
Start. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically the first one is sleep. How you're sleeping. If you're experiencing any changes in sleep, not being able to fall asleep, not being able to stay asleep, it's a sign of stress usually.
And get the right amount of sleep too.
Yes, everybody.
Not hyper or hypo, either one. Too much or not enough, right? Is the correct amount of sleep. And oftentimes we can identify that. Most people that can't get to sleep, when you talk to them, you'll ask them why, and they'll I have these racing thoughts. I can't shut my mind off.
And for everyone's different. They say you want to get a good 8 hours. For me, I know if I get 7, I'm good. But we all know what our body needs, so make sure you're giving your body what it needs.
Right. But if you see any changes from your normal,
of course,
that's when you can kind of gauge. Okay, maybe something's not right here.
Yeah. So we'll get back. I read somewhere. I like this idea, right? I read somewhere that it says we're doing a checkup from the neck up.
Yes.
Like we're checking our head, right?
Right.
We're checking our mental state. So we will get back into the checkup from the neck up when we come back after this break. This is Families in Action, brought to you on our hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.